All right, thank you. I'd like to call this session of the Board of Revision to order and acknowledge that we are on Treaty 1 and Dakota Nation's territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. My name is Mark Boreski. I will be chairing this session today. With me on the Board of Revision panel are Marla Billinghurst and Cynthia Stevens. Our assessor today is Svetlana Shabel, and our secretary what happened to the document here lists Sally as the secretary, but did you switch?
Yeah, we needed to make an update. Sorry about that.
Well, that's quite all right. Okay, so then what we have today is a couple of items on the agenda, and both of them are on Lowson Crescent, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, 180 Lowson and 200 Lowson. So could we proceed with item number 1? And Ms. Shabel, could we have your evidence, please?
Oh, I need to affirm in the assessor and the applicant first.
All right, I haven't done this for a few months, so my apologies.
That's quite all right. Ms. Assessor, can you state your full name for the record, please?
My name is Svetlana Shabel.
And do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, can you state your name for the record, please?
Trevor Smith.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Let me find the document here that I've skipped over just a second. So to the participants of the hearing, please note you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing has concluded, you can leave the meeting. We'll be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we'll limit the discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised, the comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the Board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. All right. So our first item on the docket then is 180 Lowson Crescent. So Ms. Shabel, could you give us your evidence, please?
File number 21-425. Applicant TJS Realty Advisor Ltd. Owner of business Volvo Car Winnipeg. Business name and owner LRG Holding Ltd. It's business assessment roll 55944. Our total annual rental value for business 549,420. Total area of the premise, 33,905 square feet. Overall rent per square foot, it's gross rent, $16.21. Business are assessed by calculating the annual rental value that is equal to the net rent per square foot as determined by the market, plus cost to comfortably occupy, multiplied by area or square footage of the premise leased or occupied. Cost to comfortably occupy space consists of utility costs, including lighting, heat, water, and common area charges where applicable. So our subject bid 55944. We have a full area, usually single occupied property, leasable area equal gross floor area. In our case, gross floor area 33,905 square feet. Our net rent, base net rent per square foot, we apply $13.76. Occupancy cost, all rate plus together, it will be $2.45. Total occupancy cost, $83,060. How we came across our annual rent value, $549,420. I would like to request confirm the 2022 business assessment. You can see my picture, air photo of property. It's one building, and on my second page, property description. This building, this complete auto dealership was built in 2021. It's two-story building, has a plan area 29,430 square feet, and mezzanine 4,475 square feet. So gross floor area, leasable area 33,905 square feet. Square feet. I presented rent comparables to support my net rent of $13.76 per square foot. We can see that rental tenants, because interior design similar with car dealership retails. I have several properties on Ellis St. James, Nery St. James, Ellis, Pembina, Sterling Line, Lila, Pembina, Ness, Portridge, and Ellis. You can see age of this building between 1973 and 2013. Our building built in 2021. Lease started between 2015 and 2017. Term of rent from 4 years to 13 years. I have comparable different area, 7,000 minimum and 47,000 maximum on my last comparable on Ellis. We can see that net rate spread between $12.90 to $26 per square foot. And we assess at $13.76. It's fair. My next set of comparables on Main, Portridge, and Pembina. It's specific auto dealership built between 1973 and 2000.
Have we lost Ms. Shable?
Could you see me?
Oh, there you are. Sorry.
Sorry about it. I see something disappears on my screen. Sorry about it.
That's okay.
So my auto dealership comparables on Main Street, Portridge and Pembina, built between 1973 and 2010. I would like to repeat this new building built in 2021. Leases started between 2012 and 2015. For example, lease on Main Street in 2015 for 20,000, more or less 20,000 square feet, was rent at $19.50. 3570 Portage Avenue, it's old building, 1973. Lease started in 2014 for around 9,000 square feet for $13. 3680 Portage Avenue, old building, 1988. Lease started in 2017. It's post-reference, sorry. You can remove this. No, it's not post-reference, 2017, because reference years, it's April 2018. It's leased for 4 years for 7,000 square feet for $12.50. And another 2537 Pembina, built in 2004, lease started in 2012 for 5 years, around 10,000 square feet, $25.16. My set of comparables for retail space and auto dealership for older building compared to subject property very well support our assessed rent of $13.77. Photo under my rent comparable showed air photo of subject property. And on my page 4, I presented support that mechanical commercial permit for this property indicate that the entire building is air conditioner. You can see area of affected by air conditioner at 2,758 square meter. If you convert to square footage, it will be around 30,000 square feet. Based of evidence presented in my report, I recommended to confirm the 2002 business assessment of $546,420. Thank you. Any questions?
Mr. Smith, do you have questions?
I do. I just want to make sure that everybody can hear me well to start with, since I'm all lonely here in the boardroom on my own.
Sorry about that.
Am I coming in clear?
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. I do have questions. I do have rebuttal. I think, if I may, I'd like to address the rebuttal if I could first, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay.
Just a second though while we find it. Well, I have it. Does everybody else have it?
Yes, I have it.
Marla?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Smith.
Okay. Thinking how to address this properly, I guess. Looking at the business assessment submission here from the city, we have differences between the initial rental amount and in the air-conditioned area. So if you look on the city's submission, we have a base ARV of $466,360, which equates to $13.76 a square foot. If you look on my rebuttal document, you can see that the base rent is $471,280, or sorry, $280. $471,280, which comes out to $13.90 a square foot. This amount matches the amount that was in the realty appeal as submitted into evidence by the city in the realty appeal that we recently had for this property. Moving across on the city's submission today, the business assessment, you can see that the air-conditioned area is shown as 3,905 square feet. Whereas if you look at my rebuttal document, and again, this rebuttal document is taken directly from the City of Winnipeg's website, you can see that the air-conditioned area is 19,377 square feet, and that the resulting total costs to occupy are $78,127, with city's submission today being $83,060 for the total occupancy cost. So it appears as though the city has not reflected the accurate air-conditioned area, but has adjusted the base rent. But what I'm illustrating is that the air-conditioned area isn't accurately reflected in the material before you today. And that is the actual area that is air-conditioned. That is the rebuttal.
Okay, let's just deal with some questions about the rebuttal then. Ms. Schabel, do you have questions about that rebuttal?
Yes, let's look on rebuttal business details. Read it together. The assessment and
I'm sorry,
taxation
could you
department.
repeat that, please?
Can you hear me? Sorry. The assessment and taxation department does not warrant or make any representation as to the quality, content, accuracy, or completeness of the information, text, graphics, link, and other items contained on the website. Such materials has been
excuse me, Ms. Schabel. I'm sorry to interrupt. I lost the signal there, and consequently, I didn't hear what you were saying. And then when the signal came back, I was muted. So, do you mind beginning again? Very sorry.
On this rebuttal, we have business details. Let's read last sentence. Okay, from the beginning. The assessment and taxation department does not warrant or make any representation as to the quality, content, accuracy, or completeness of the information, text, graphics, link, and other items contained on the website. Such material has been compliant from variety of sources and are subject to change without notice from the assessment and taxation department. On this document, yes, you can see air conditional 50% of 19,000 square feet. It's 50% of gross floor area. In preparation for this hearing, I did update our records according to permits posted in my evidence on third page, because the mechanical commercial permits for this property indicate that entire building is air conditioned. That's why I changed square footage for air conditioned for full gross floor area slightly adjust net rent from $13.90, what was posted before, to $13.76, and came across a same annual rental value what we assessed for this property in 2022. Thank you. All this record update in our records. I did full updates.
Ms. Billinghurst, do you have questions about the rebuttal?
No, I do not.
Ms. Stevens?
No, I do not either. Thank you.
Okay, just for my part, just to clarify, what you're saying, Ms. Schabel, is that the permit that was taken out for the HVAC system actually says that it is with respect to the whole of the building. Is that correct?
Correct. It was my support evidence to update our record.
Okay. Now, when it says it applies to the whole, is there any separation between air conditioning and heating? For instance, I could imagine, and this is just about
also air view. We can see boxes on top of roof. It's a heating and cooling units across whole building.
I see. Okay, thank you very much. All right, so that was
Mr. Chair,
the rebuttal.
that was the rebuttal, but as there's, if I may comment on that further than
Yes, please.
before, I thought it'd be fairly straightforward, but obviously it's not. So let's get into detail then. Looking at the city's mechanical permit that Ms. Scheibel has submitted, this is, I gather, the original permit that was taken out for HVAC for construction. In no sense does it indicate that the entire building is going to be air conditioned. That's an interpretation on the city's part. I don't believe that, to my knowledge, the property owner hasn't received a call from Ms. Scheibel or other assessors to check on the air-conditioned area. Typically, it would be highly unusual for a building such as this to be entirely air-conditioned. I have not had that relayed to me that the city has called the owner to check that out. Needless to say, the original area as shown on this assessment that I submitted and took from the city's website itself was the original, rather is the actual air-conditioned area, 19,377 square feet. Further to this, and we'll get to this in the actual presentation, as the documentation is here for everybody to see. When we look at the realty appeal for this property that was just completed a month or two ago, you can see that the base rent that was applied for the realty matches the $471,280 as indicated on the city's website for the business assessment, that being $13.90 rather than $13.76. This is, we're getting into far too much detail here. It's more as support for the second property that is coming forward with regard to the air conditioning. But the rental amount shown on the business assessment taken from the website exactly matches the rental amount applied by the city in the realty assessment in their documentation, which is before us here today. So what I'm indicating is that the whole building is not air conditioned. The original 90,377 square feet is the amount, and there's an adjustment made after the fact to reflect slightly reduced rent in order to keep the ARV at the same amount of $549,420.
Okay, I think that we have probably dealt sufficiently with the rebuttal, so then care to carry on with the rest of your information?
Certainly, thank you. All right, so let's look at the page number 2 then, the rental comparables. So this information that we're looking at here, I've seen it all before. I believe probably several of the panel members have also seen this, perhaps all three. The rental comparables at the top of the page, these are big box retail rents, is that correct?
On page number 2, yes, I have several retail tenants and 4 auto dealership. Correct.
Okay, so the city is taking, is essentially applying big box retail rents as a comparable to subject. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And the areas that we're looking at here for these comparables are the Polo Park, call it Power Center conglomerate over there, the Keniston McGillivray Power Center area, and then some of the big boxes around the IKEA location further north on Keniston. Is that correct? Okay, and these tenancies, I don't want to go through them one by one unless the panel wishes me to do so, but tenancies that are in here are of a national level covenant. Retail such as Staples, The Brick, Ashley Furniture, Michaels, Giant Tiger, Safeway, RXR Factory Outlet, Ladyboy Furniture. Is that correct? Okay. All right. Just quickly moving down to the bottom of the page then. The properties at the bottom of the page are automotive in nature. And for these properties, the first property is 1284 Main Street. This is, pardon me, an MPI insurance location, which has very significant office space as well as basement space in that municipal area. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. 3570 Portage Avenue. That is Boyd Auto Body's head office, which with the majority of the building being office space. Is that correct? So 3570 Portage Avenue is Boyd Auto Body's office location, essentially. They have one single overhead door at the rear of the building, with the balance of the building being office space. Is that correct?
I have comparable stone Portage and Pembina. It's more service garages, car repair properties. That very old, but it's on Portage, and they still rent for $12.50 and $13 per square foot.
My apologies. My signal was dropped again. It dropped at the point, Mr. Smith, you were going to say something about 3570 Portage Avenue. I'm afraid I'll have to ask to repeat it.
3570 Portage Avenue, it's auto repair.
Mr. Smith, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
I'm here, Chairman.
Can everybody else hear me?
I can hear you, Mark.
Okay, so it was Mr. Smith who was speaking when my signal was dropped. And you were about to say something about 3570 Portage Avenue, Mr. Smith. Do you mind repeating that?
I think we've lost the feed to the boardroom now.
All right, we will carry on then. We've had a little technical glitch, but we were at the point of the Mr. Smith asking questions of the assessor about her evidence. And we were at the point, Mr. Smith, where you were about to ask something about 3570 Portage Avenue. That's when my feed dropped, at least. Do you mind picking it up there?
Yes, certainly. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So with regard to 3570 Portage Avenue, again, void location, that's not a property you have examined personally, I gather, correct?
Correct.
Okay, 3680 Portage Avenue, the third last one there, 7,200 square feet at $12.50 is what it's calculated at. That doesn't take into account the mezzanine area of that building, correct? There's an additional mezzanine area that would typically be factored in, but is not in that area.
It's 7,200 square feet.
And that's the main floor area, correct?
Yes, and it's very old building, 1988.
Right. If you factored in the mezzanine area, that would bring the net rental rate down to 10 or below dollars, correct?
It will be drop if you apply gross floor area, but it's old building, very small, and plus we talk about car dealership, not service garage. I just showed range between retails per showroom and or part was service provided. It's range between $26,000 to $12.50. So our overall $13.76, it's reasonable.
So the 3680 Portage Avenue, that's a used car dealer, correct?
3680, yes.
Auto gallery?
Yes.
And 2537 Pembina, this is acknowledged as a special instance of a new automobile dealer coming into the city and essentially paying a significantly over market rental rate with an agreement to purchase the property at an above market value at the end of the term. Is that correct?
Correct. It's Frontier Association. And they pay rent started 2012 and finished 2017. They pay $25.60. It's account for future buy this space, but we assess on $30.76. It's half of what Frontier pay on Pembina. It's reasonable.
Right. Those are all of my questions. Thank you very much.
Ms. Billinghurst, do you have questions?
No questions.
Ms. Stevens?
No, I think I'm good, thank you.
Ms. Schabel, am I right in concluding that based on your information, one would not think that there's a significant difference in the rents that are demanded for retail large box or for your auto classification here, since the former go from $12.90 to $26 and the latter from $12.50 to $25. So is it your contention that there really isn't a difference in the rent that is demanded for these two types of properties?
Let's see. Our new automobile dealership, its primary function, retail sale of new vehicle, correct? In my case, retail space, it's by the end of the day, it's box. Retail box would sell. We sell new auto, but we have a service park. It's my comparables, Portridge. It's with service garages, 35.7, 36.80. It's so it's between and a real auto dealership on 35-37 Pembina. It's $25 per square foot. It's aligned with my retail space on 4085 Portridge, second from bottom. It's self rent 10,000 square feet for $26. So we have range between best showroom maximum $26 for retail from auto dealership on Pembina, and minimum retail service park $13. So in our we assess overall middle. For space, we account for service, we account for showroom, for mezzanine on top. And in my set comparable show that $13.76, it's reasonable.
And is there a significant difference in the construction of these buildings, wall height, the area of office versus open area, that type of thing?
For retail and car dealership, very important height. It's a storage, it's a sale warehouse by the end of the day. So, and what we have comparables on retail, it's same box. You can sell furniture, you can sell cars by the end of the day. And this retail space still have a storage warehouse to store a product before put on the shelf. It's really similar to car dealership.
Is there much history in Winnipeg of conversion of a retail big box into a car dealership, and of the reverse, where a car dealership has become a big box retail?
We can transfer a real car dealership to sell furniture, for example.
No, I'm not saying hypothetically. I'm saying, is there a history of that happening?
Not from my knowledge, but I know each car dealership has to have 6 signature. So Frontier View should be their signature, but by the end of the day, it's still box, brand new box built in 2021.
With respect to 2537 Pembina Highway, that is a new dealership that has come to town. Could you give me the particulars? Who is using this, and what was the use of that building before, and what is this about a possible purchase in the future?
This building was built in 2004, and new car dealership Frontier Asburation was start to rent in 2012 for $25.60. But part of rent was sell in future in 2017 to buy this to property. So that's why I don't go straight to this $25 per square foot, because it's interest involved in future.
Okay.
They pay more, so they will buy it. That's why our new car dealership, который built not in 2004, 2021, we assess only less than $14 per square foot.
Okay, thank you.
It's everything took into consideration.
All right. That's all my questions then. Thank you very much. Let us turn then back to Mr. Smith and your evidence, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Just before I delve into my report, I'll clarify a few things here, if I may. 1485 Portage Avenue was put into evidence by the city, that being the high end of their retail rates at $26 a square foot. This is actually the Polo Park shopping center itself. I was not able to determine which tenancy it is, but it is in the shopping center itself. So that is what that particular comparable is.
Which number is it? 2195?
It's the second last retail one, 1485.
1485. Okay.
And then it's H005. In any case, as mentioned, that is the actual Polo Park shopping center that's being compared to the dealerships. So just to clarify that. And then 2537 Pembina, as this always comes up, we have spoken with the representative of the former owners of the property. So the situation was Jim Pattison was looking to enter the Winnipeg market. Jim Pattison is a large automobile dealership group based out of Vancouver, and they were expanding into different centers. They were looking to enter the Winnipeg marketplace, and they identified the owner of Frontier Subaru on Pembina, and then Frontier on Regent as takeover targets, essentially. The way the automobile dealership or automobile world works is the brands have a certain number of dealerships that they'll allow in a market. So once a market is saturated, as Winnipeg is, they don't provide further dealership licenses essentially within that market. It's not an official license. I think it's just that they will not cut their sales by putting in additional dealerships. So what happens is that if you want to enter a market, you need to buy somebody else out, right? So in order to do that, there has to be incentive. And the incentive at 2537 Pembina Highway, which was a relatively small building, as you can see, 38 square feet, built in 04. The incentive for the owner that the owner demanded was the above market rental rate for the period of 5 years at $25.16 a square foot. This has been confirmed by the city. And at the end of that term, the Jim Pattison had the ability to purchase the property at an above market rate. So in doing that, the owner achieves their goal of getting additional value for their property, as well as essentially trading their dealership rights outside of that. So what happened at the end of the term? They did buy the property at an above market rate, and they immediately moved their dealership over to the Waverly West Auto Mall. They had been building their new site there, so that's where Subaru is now. So since that time, the building has been vacant. Aside from I think it's currently a portion of it is being used by the adjacent student housing building for University of Manitoba that was built as a leasing center for that particular property. That's
is that post reference though, Mr. Smith? Like, was it being used as a dealership at the reference date or not?
No, it wasn't. It sold.
It was. It was vacant. Okay.
So what I'm getting at is that the building is not being reused as an automobile dealership, and the rents and sale price should not be relied on as indicators of market value. Clearly, there were circumstances outside of bricks and mortar and land that were involved in that transaction. So that's just to clarify that. Moving on to the evidence in the property itself. Again, before I delve into my work, just to clarify, so what the city has done in their analysis is similar but significantly different from what I have done. They have looked at big box retail as being comparable to an automobile dealership, and then provided a few automobile related leases as well, which I have explained. All four of them have issues with them. 3570 Portage being an office building for 80 to 90% of it. 3680 not having all of the square footage, so the actual lease rate being significantly lower, et cetera, et cetera. So 1284 Main being, again, a significant portion of that being an office building. Moving back to the analysis, the city is looking at big box retail as being comparable to automobile dealership. Okay, so let's look at that. All of these centers are located in either that Polo Park node, the Kenniston McGillivray Power Center node, the IKEA Sterling Lion node, and or Regent and Lagimoje node, if the full list were here today, which I see it's not. And we're looking at tenancies such as national tenancies and covenants such as Staples, The Brick, Michaels, Ashley, Lazy Boy Furniture, et cetera, right? So these are true retailers. If you look at those facilities, you're looking at an agglomeration of only retail, all built together with significant parking outside. They are magnets for consumers. Consumers go there, they can go to all the stores that they may want to see in one go, and get what they need. The properties themselves are commercially zoned. This is not. This is M2. You would not get, for many reasons, which we'll get into, you would not get, Staples would not be allowed to establish themselves in this particular building, or The Brick, or Ashley, etc. It's not. They would not be permitted under the existing zoning for these properties. So beyond that, let's look at the structure. So if you look at these retail big box stores, and you walk into Staples or Michaels or Ashley, 90+% of that building is selling floor, with a very small area at the back of the building being warehouse and loading space, essentially, with the majority of the product being on the floor itself. So that's dramatically different from an automobile dealership. In an automobile dealership, you have a portion of the building at the front, which is not strictly comparable to those, but a portion of the building being generally in that call it 30 to 40% of the building being showroom retail / office and admin space. So when you walk into a automobile dealership, you have the cars being displayed, you have the reception, and then you have the sales desks at the back, and then you have the supportive admin area behind that for office space as well, broken out as office space. Beyond that, the balance of the building is a service garage, essentially. So you have a space that's not built out as retail and not suitable to it, etc. The differences between them are dramatic. Now, that's simply physical. Looking beyond that, and I think this is the part that doesn't get recognized by the city. None of these retailers are going to locate in this building or on this site or in an area that is not a power center, polo park type of area. They're simply not going to do it. If it's close by, it's still not front and center where they want to locate. So you're not going to find a national level retailer such as these willing to locate in this building, even if it were available to them. So the starting point of the city's discussion is off base, I guess is how I'll state it. So that being said, let's move into my evidence itself. What I will do to start with, as I've already referenced, and unfortunately I wasn't able to put it in my main document, but as I'd already mentioned, we had the realty appeal for the subject property this fall, October 29th, 2021. I've submitted that decision as well as a portion of the brief describing that in order to back up the decision. Has everybody got that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. So you can see the reduction there being reduced to $5,125,000. Flip the page based on an adjusted net operating income and a cap rate of 7.5%. So that's fine. Follow along. You can see the cover page of my brief. And then the valuation page comparing my value to the city's value. So in that value, just to start with, you can see that the city used $471,280.
Sorry, I'm
a rate of $13.90 per square foot. That's what I was referencing earlier with regard to the city's valuation of the property here today and the business assessment valuation that is available online. Again, indicating $13.90 and the air-conditioned area properly being reflected as 19,377 square feet. So in order to parse the decision, it says an adjusted net operating income. Now, if you run through the numbers, you apply 7.5 to the decision of $5,125,000. You will see that what's been done is they've accepted the $12.50 per square foot, but they have taken out the 5% out of the expense allowance and merely allowed 2% in that decision. That's
where do I see that? Sorry, where do I see it?
Well, you have to unfortunately do the math on it. I have two more examples to support this. So okay. I didn't draw on the page and demonstrate it, but if you take the $5,125,000 with the 7.5 cap rate and work it backwards, you'll come up with whatever that net income results in. And then if you change the expense allowance to 2% rather than 7%, reflecting what the city's contention is, that will equate to the net income that was used. So what I'm getting at here is that the decision is based on the $12.50 per square foot that we applied to the property in that hearing. All of the evidence that we present here today was utilized in that hearing as well. Nothing's been changed. It's all identical. We're talking about the exact same information. So that is specific to 180 Lowson Crescent itself. Decision at $12.50 a square foot.
Hey, do you mind pausing there for a second? I'm sorry, but if I had all this on paper documents, I could be having it side by side and see this, but I've got to go back and take a look at you've presented this Board of Revision order, and you're saying that the Board of Revision reduced the realty from 6.2 down to 5.1 million. But then when I go forward to your comparison chart, I'm not seeing the 5. We've gone essentially back to, is this the original numbers that were also presented in the realty, which was 4.5 on your part and 6.2 on the city's part?
Yes, that's correct. So if you look at the decision, it says it was reduced from 6,273,000 down to 5,125,000. So what I've done, Mr. Chair, is simply include the evidence that was presented in that hearing. So nothing's been altered or adjusted. This was my original valuation, including the additional 5% for expense allowance and an 8% cap rate, coming out to 4,553,000. When you look at the decision using 7.5 cap rate and 2% expense allowance, it comes out exactly to that $5,125,000 decision amount.
The expense allowance. So was there still a discrepancy over cap rate?
Yes, the decision is based on a 7.5% cap rate, whereas I had used 8%.
Okay.
So again, what I'm indicating is that if you insert a 7.5 cap rate to my my valuation, change the expense allowance to 2%, and use all of the rest of the figures as is, you will come out to $5,125,000.
All right.
All right. So the long and short of all of that is that the decision was based on my rental rate of $12.50 per square foot. So that is specific to 180 Lowson Crescent. I'm going to take you backwards into the addenda. Page A1 of the addenda.
Okay.
Everybody got that? Okay,
Not
so
yet.
This
Not
is
yet.
the, sorry.
How many pages are there to the main brief? Oh, okay, A1. Oh, I've got you. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so is everybody else there? All right, so this page A1, this is the property immediately adjacent to the property, subject property. This is 200 Lowson Crescent. Also a brand new automobile dealership owned by the same owners, built just immediately before the subject property that we're looking at here at 180. So another brand new auto dealership. If you look at this decision, it's even more clear in that it states the decision is based on the applicant's net operating income and a 7.5% cap rate. So if you move forward through A3 onto A4, you can see my valuation versus the city's valuation for that property, my rental rate being $12.50 a square foot, with the 7% allowance, et cetera, with a cap rate of 8%. You change the cap rate.
At this point, we're dealing with 180 Lowson, but you're presenting the 200, which is also under appeal as backup evidence for the 180. And we will also be dealing with 200 later?
It is indeed backup evidence for 180.
Okay.
I thought, Mr. Chair, we'd just deal with it all at once rather than covering it 2 times. So that was the reason that I was addressing it for 180 here.
All right.
I can deal with it there if you wish, but I thought it would be...
Well, I mean, formally we'll have to, but I follow your logic in saying that there's a relationship, and so you're using it as backup for 180.
Okay, so again, the decision was based on 7.5 cap rate. If you change the cap rate in my analysis, it will give you the exact amount of the decision at $5,873,000. So again, brand new dealership, immediately adjacent. The decision is based on my $12.50 a square foot rental rate for the property. Beyond that, I've included one additional property, 2420 McPhillips. This is another automobile dealership. It has had significant renovation recently. I'm not going to go through that order and take up yet more time, but as you can see from the decision there, it was also based on the $12.50 a square foot rental rate that I used in my analysis. It states decision is based on the applicant's net operating income. That's on page A8 of the addenda. So that's background for you. We have two side-by-side decisions of brand new dealerships at $12.50 a square foot, including the subject property itself. So let's get into the analysis and get this moving forward. We are looking at 180 Lowson Crescent. This is the new Birchwood Automobile Group's dealership for Land Rover Jaguar. And the basics of the property are shown on my page 3. Again, zoned M2, manufacturing general. The 2022 business assessment is under appeal. We have site area of 4.2 acres and a land to plan area ratio of 5.39 to 1. Again, typically for a new dealership, you want 8 to 1 as a minimum for land to plan area ratio for storage of product, for display to customers, for sale to customers being on site, and for test driving, etc. You need an area to park cars for servicing, and you need space for the clients themselves as well as staff. So you need a significant area of land. This dealership is a 5.4 to 1 essentially, and that's based on wanting to be in that particular area. This is the space that they could purchase. Actual leasable area, 33,905 square feet. This includes just under 5,000 square feet of mezzanine area. I've given you photos of the subject property beginning on page 4, running through the whole building, so you can see the front showroom area, the individual breakout offices for purchasing and finance, etc. You can see some admin area at the bottom of page 6. You can see the service area at the top of page 6, some mezzanine space on page 7, including a staff room, and then some exteriors of the property on page number 8. Site description itself, page number 9. You can see the location of the property there on the site. Keniston being the roadway on the west of the subject property, so on the left-hand side. No entry off of Keniston, obviously, with the entrance being off of Lowson Crescent in behind. There's a lighted intersection, 2 properties to the south of this. You turn right onto Lowson, drive around the back of the property, and enter from that direction. So not ideal, but they do have good exposure to traffic on Keniston, obviously. Looking at the location of the property, page number 10, I've given you an aerial of that area. So I think this is particularly informative as well. If you see the red dot where the subject is, 180 Lowson Crescent, that is in that industrial area on the east side of Keniston Boulevard there on Lowson Crescent, north of the rail line and south of Sterling Lion. Now, if you move northward from there to Sterling Lion and to the west, yes, then you're in a retail node. That is obviously clearly big box central brand new retail, etc., all in a conglomerated area. You move south from the subject property across the rail line into that Linden Woods area. You have the Smart Center, Kenniston Common, that entire area around Kenniston and McGilvery is big box retail. It's a power center node. Again, significantly further to the south. The subject property is in neither of those areas. It's not appropriate for any of those retailers to locate here, nor would you drive the same rental value that you would get there at the subject property. If you go across the road, you have flex industrial space, and slightly further north, you have a cement plant on the west-hand side there. Now, by no means am I saying that it's not a good location. It is a good location, but it is not a retail location, and you would not drive those rents that the city is including in their evidence. Let's move on. Beyond that, I have provided a blurb on the automotive industry for the panel members. It's there if you wish. I'll just very briefly touch on a few points. The automobile shopping and sales has changed significantly. Most people do their research online now, and then they more or less show up to test drive the car that they've picked out at the dealership. This has led to a need for less dealerships in the marketplace, but bigger dealerships, more as distribution centers. This is the model that the industry is moving towards, and essentially what is going to happen is you're going to have fewer dealerships in a market, so you'll get existing dealerships going dark and the buildings going vacant. Additionally, Amazon is looking at entering the market, which will obviously drive lower pricing and faster delivery. They've done this in the European market already, and they're looking at moving into North America. There's further information there with regard to the change in the automobile dealership industry for you to review if you wish. Looking at the subject property automobile dealership as a type, they are special use facilities. If you look at my page number 12, taken from the 1998 article in the Appraisal Journal, The Peculiarities of Appraising Auto Dealership Facilities, it states, auto dealership facilities are considered special use or special purpose properties, which means that they cannot typically be assigned other uses. And auto dealership facilities are typically constructed for a specific use, not readily adaptable to alternative uses. So they're essentially saying that you are not going to see a standard alternative use directly moved into an automobile dealership building. What we see in the marketplace is typically a three-stage process. We see in stage one, you have a brand new automobile dealership, fully branded with, say, a frontline auto brands such as Honda, Ford, Mazda, etc. This will eventually become obsolete for whatever reason, and that property will then move on to the second phase, that being as a used automobile dealership. This is clear in our market. And then essentially when that particular use becomes obsolete, the property typically goes vacant for a period of time and then is purchased for redevelopment purposes. So this has been shown clearly in the Winnipeg marketplace. I've given you, I think, 6 examples. I'm not going to go through these in great detail, but the information is there for you. First one, 3021 Demina Highway, former Honda dealership, sat vacant for many years. It's now being redeveloped as a multifamily property. 1310 Regent, originally a Ford dealership, changed into a used auto dealership. Now it's been demolished and is being redeveloped, coincidentally, as a new automobile dealership, but only because Birchwood Automotive Group has enough contiguous land in order to support a new automobile dealership at that site. McNaught Pontiac Buick, number 3, Frontline Automobile Dealership, then a used auto dealership, and then it was for sale from 2011 onwards. It's now been demolished, being redeveloped. Frontier Subaru at 2537 Pembina, we've discussed, it's now vacant. Unit 20 at Point West Auto Park, originally the Saturn dealership, built in 2000. Saturn went bankrupt. The Birchwood Auto Group at Point West was unable to get a frontline dealer to occupy that building or to agree to go into that space rather as a frontline dealer. So they repurposed it as originally a truck sales building, and now it's a finance center for used autos. So it's a used auto dealership. Finally, 3081 Portage Avenue, formerly a branded auto dealership. Then it was a string of used auto dealers, and now I believe it's either vacant or another used auto at this point. So that's the phases of these types of properties in the market. In no instance have we seen a big box retailer willing to relocate into one of these facilities, nor would you for the reasons I've stated. If you look at my page 13, you can see an image of one of the city's comparables. This is Michael's at 840 St. James Street in that Polo Park area. In the power center node there, you can see there beside Old Navy, Save On Foods, Best Buy. And then bottom of the page, you have the aerial of the property itself. So if you look at Michael's, which is not at the bottom of the page, but towards the top there, you can see that the majority of that building is selling space with the loading for the property at the very south end with that little space that juts out there for the loading dock, and then a stretch of the back of the store, which is their warehousing. All of the product is on the floor. All of it is selling space. So dramatically different structure than an auto dealer itself. Let's move on from there into the actual analysis. As I've already stated, the decision for realty was based on my analysis at $12.50 a square foot. What we have based our analysis on is there are no truly arm's length net rental rates for automobile dealerships available in the marketplace, as shown and agreed by both the city and ourselves. Pardon me. So what you need to do is look at the subject property and come up with an appropriate methodology of valuing it based on other spaces. So what do we have? We have an automotive service property for a portion of the building, call it 60 to 65%, and the front of the building being showroom, warehouse / office supportive space. So for that, call it 30 to 35% of the building. So that is essentially what we're looking at. So we need to find appropriate rents in the marketplace to determine what would be appropriate for the subject property. So that is what I've done. My page number 15 provides you with automotive rents. And then we move into showroom retail on page 17. So page number 15 being the automotive, I'm going to draw your attention to one particular property, that being unit number 20, or not unit number 20, comparable number 20 right at the bottom of the chart. 1322 Waverly. This is the not auto location, premium used auto vehicles that they're selling out of that location. We have a confirmed arm's length net rental rate for that property. 5-year term starting in 2018 for 27,603 square feet. So significant size property at a rate of $6.85 per square foot. Now, I believe I've also included this material in the addenda on page numbers A14, 15, and 16 for backup. So we're looking at $6.85 a square foot for a second run premium used auto dealership. This particular location is very high visibility. It's right on the corner of Waverly and McGilvery on the southeast corner. Yes, the southeast corner. So excellent location. And they're driving a rate of $6.85 per square foot for that property. Now, it's pretty much the only one we're able to confirm as far as an auto dealer out there. Let's look at the rest of our properties here. Now, are we going to find brand new automobile service areas of, call it 30,000 square feet or 20,000 square feet? No, we're not. They don't exist out there independently. So we need to look at the available information, and that's what we've done here. So we're looking at service garages with net rental rates, with start dates for their terms as close to the reference date as possible. And let's see what we have. So we have properties in the range of, well, there's some smaller ones, obviously, but typically we're looking in that 4,000 up to 14,000 square foot range. There's some national brands here. And obviously the properties range in age and location, but typically these are located on main thoroughfares and are good locations for this particular service. So number one, Absolute Auto Guard, 8,000 square feet, start date 2016, $6.50 a square foot. That's on Fife. It's not a great, it's in an industrial area. That'll be at the lower end of the range.
Given that there's quite a few listed here, can we just take a minute to skim over this, and there might be a highlight that you could give us, but not go through each one?
Absolutely, and I prefer not to go through each one. I was hoping to kind of identify ones that would be most appropriate. So,
which would those be?
So if we look at 208 St. Anne's, this is a good service center. It is investment property owned by somebody else, straight up net rental rate of $9.22 a square foot. That's with steps over the lease term, so that's accurate as of the valuation date. 231 Oak Point Highway. While that is getting further out, it is a used auto dealer, just under 15,000 square feet, built in 1990. 2017 lease at $7 per square foot. I've got the Boyd Auto Body down there as well. Probably shouldn't be. It's 3570 Portage Avenue. That is dominantly in an office building with a very, believe it's a single bay at the back for service. It's Boyd's head office. We have, let's see, properties on Nairn, auto service and used auto dealer, 13 and 14 on your chart there. $9.23 and $9 per square foot. 31 Scurfield, Again, good location, in relatively close proximity to the subject properties today, just under 4,900 square feet, 1998, so relatively new. 10-year term at $7.99 per square foot, so $8 a square foot. So our range that we're looking at for the automotive portions is kind of from that $6.50 range up to a high of $12.50 a square foot. That being 3680 Portage Avenue, not Pembina, number 11. Apologies for that that typo on that particular property. That again, that's comparable. Should the rental rate should be somewhat lower because that does not include the mezzanine space in the analysis at $12.50 a square foot. So generally, we're looking at that range of call it $9 to $10 per square foot for the automotive portion of the building. So that's one aspect of the property. Flip to page 16, you can see a map of the not auto comparable at Waverly and McGillivray in that southeast area, close to the subject, and a picture of the frontage as well as a picture of the interior showroom area. That's at $685 per square foot. All right, so let's move on to the showroom retail. And I've given you significant backup on all of these properties. I will run through this as quickly as we can, but it is important to get a sense of how comparable the properties are that we're looking at. So all of these properties are typically in that southwest portion of the city, somewhat close to the subject property. And all of them are showroom retail type of facilities as well, with generally very high profile, good exposure, etc. So let's look to start with at units, or rather comparables number 4 and 5, 1290 Kenniston. This is the building that is adjacent to 200 Lowson, which is immediately south of this property. And it's located right at the lighted intersection. It was formerly an industrial building and was purchased and redeveloped as a showroom retail type of location, given its profile on Kenniston itself. So what rents were they able to achieve for that property that is essentially right beside the subject? We have 15,104 square feet for TransCanada Brewing, 10-year lease in 2016, renovated in 2015. We have $12 per square foot for 15,000 square feet. Now, TransCanada Brewing has a restaurant and tasting area, as well as the brewing for that particular property as well, located in that particular unit. The second property from 1290 Kenniston, Lux Barbecue, same deal, just under 10,000 square feet, 10-year term, 2016 lease, $12.50 a square foot. Again, showroom retail right beside the subject property. Beyond that, we have the remainder of the properties here. Many of them are very newly built with relatively recent start dates. So let's go through these relatively quickly. 2 on 400 Fort White Way. This is just west of the Costco. You can see it on my page number 18. We have two comparables there. Enns Brothers and Sky Zone, significant size, 26,000 square feet roughly for Sky Zone. leased in 2013 for $11.90 per square foot. That particular tenant has gone dark. Enns Brothers still there at $11 per square foot. Then we have 996 Lorimer. Now, if you look at my page number 19, you can see the location of this property and the profile of it. So this is on the west side of Kenaston, just off of Sterling Lion, and it's a flex warehouse office, showroom, retail type of space. You can see the profile of it at the bottom of page 19. And we have a Dynasty bathroom tenancy in there, 2016, just over $13 a square foot at $13.10. Built in 08. Two inferior leases at 1036 Waverly, but significant size. They do have both showroom, retail, and warehouse in these locations for these two properties. 2014 leases at $6.05 a square foot for 8-year terms. Back to 980 Lorimer, shoe retail, 2018 lease, $12 per square foot. And finally, we have 20 South Landing. We have a automotive at 1375 for a very small area, 4240. This is right in the heart of that Waverly West development. And then we have fitness tenancy, 400 Fort White, 2016 lease at $11 a square foot. And finally, number 11, just under 16,000 square feet, 96 Nature Park Way, flex showroom warehouse space, 2017 lease for 5-year term at $11.95 a square foot. This is located immediately across the road, Kenaston, from the subject property. If you look at my page number 3, you can see the location of that particular comp in that flex warehouse development on the west-hand side, as well as the other tenancies that are there. I believe this is Dulux Paints, and they do have an office portion of that particular unit as well. So they are paying $11.95 in a very recent rent for just under 16,000 square feet. Essentially,
I'm assuming, sorry to interrupt, but if you don't mind, I'm assuming that, like me, the other panel members have been skimming through this information, looking at the photos, the location maps, and that sort of thing. Perhaps if we could move down to your page 24, where you're discussing the potential annual income.
Certainly, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So to summarize, our rents are all in that 11 to $12.50 per square foot dominantly range for very comparable properties in very similar locations. Many of them recently built with new start dates as well. So you can see I've gone to great lengths to provide as accurate comparables as possible for that showroom retail space. And this is summarized on page number 24. Our automotive range was from $7 to $12.50 a square foot for automotive sales. Repair and collision from $6.50 to $13. Then we had showroom retail from $6 to $13.10 a square foot. Now, what is most appropriate for the subject property? Well, it is a brand new facility. It is well located in that southwest quadrant, just off of Kenaston, with good profile and visibility. So it will fall towards the upper end of the range. And we are reflecting that in the rate that we've applied to the property, which we've selected as $12.50 per square foot, based on the detailed data that we provided to you. So $12.50 gives us our potential annual income of $423,813. And the expenses that I have provided mirror what the city originally provided on their website. And they are the standard allowances for heat, hydro, water, and air conditioning. Obviously, the air-conditioned area is not the entire building. You're not going to air condition the service garage or the drive-through area with doors going up and down continually. So the 19,377 square feet is an accurate reflection of the air-conditioned area. Total expenses come to 78,127, and summarized on page 26, this gives us our final ARV of $501,940. The addenda materials we've already run through, I believe, for all of them. Again, it includes decisions from the realty appeals for 180 and 200 Lowson at $12.50 a square foot for the panel members. That is my presentation, and I'm open for questions. Thank you.
Ms. Shable, do you have questions? Ms. Shable,
Yes,
do you have questions?
yes, let's open page 4 of agent briefs. You can see photo of car dealership, very good. You can see that it's a similar interior design like retail, for example, furniture sale, correct?
No, I would actually disagree with that. If you look at the showroom floor, you can see the drop ceiling, the pendant lighting, the office development, etc. So it's not a strict comparable to big box retail.
Please open page number 4. Where is service provided? You can see on ceiling we have a heating and cooling pipe drop down. It shows that whole building air conditioning, heating and cooling system, correct?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question.
When we look on page number 6, top, we can see ceiling with dropping pipes for heating and cooling system. It shows that it's air conditioner whole space, correct?
No, that's incorrect.
On page number 5, on top, you show the mezzanine space, it's office, correct?
Page number 5 shows you a picture of one of the breakout offices for sales, as well as a portion of the showroom.
Portion of showroom, okay.
Oh, wait a minute. No, that is not the showroom. That's that is the pickup area for vehicles for service.
So showroom has several offices for deal to be signed, for insurance, and we have office space on mezzanine, correct?
I'm sorry, it's probably the format here, but I'm having difficulty understanding your questions.
Okay, typical car dealership has partial offices to sign a deal for insurance, correct? And they have office space on mezzanine.
Yes, there is some mezzanine. There is some mezzanine office space as well as the office space on the main floor.
So it's very high interior design, correct?
Well, it's purpose built for its particular purpose. Yes. I mean, page number 6 gives you a picture of the mezzanine office area, such as it is. It's It's a open area with drop T-bar ceiling and lighting.
Okay, it is true that warehouses, storage warehouses has less office space.
Storage warehouses would typically have less admin office space, yes.
And warehouses, we have a special assessment for warehouses with vacancy, shortfall, capitalization rate. It's industrial property, correct?
So just so I'm clear, you're saying that industrial is different, is that correct?
Yes. Industrial property compared to retail property, it's different, correct?
Yes, generally speaking, that's accurate.
On your page 13, in our case, car dealership, it's our office retail property. On page 14, you showed my comparables, 830 St. James Street, correct?
Correct.
And this rent $18 per square foot.
I don't recall what your rent was for that, but let's see, 840 St. James, $18 a square foot for 24,478 square feet.
And it has a good retail space. It's like showroom and car dealership, correct?
No, I think I've already gone through the differences between big box retail and an automobile dealership fairly extensively.
This property has good view, good frontage view from St. James, similar to subject property for Kennenston Boulevard, correct?
Again, and I apologize for this, but I am having difficulty hearing the questions accurately.
This 840 St. James Street for $18 per square foot has good frontage view from for traffic, correct?
Yes.
From the window car. Similar
Which page? I'm sorry, but I've lost where this information is.
On page 13, we're looking
13?
on what? Yes.
Page
840 St.
13.
James Street, Michael. Comparables. It's my comparables, but it's here. Very well presented.
Yes, it has good profile and visibility.
So it's look like similar for car dealership, correct? It's same showroom, retail space, storage area like garage repair, correct?
No, we disagree dramatically on that.
Let's open page 15. You did mention that when car dealership vacant space, it's usually occupied by used car dealership, sell another retail store like a paint seller, correct?
What I said, I believe, was that there's three phases essentially for automobile dealerships in the market. You have your first run dealerships with the main brands, main international brands such as Ford or Mazda or Honda. The second phase of those properties is often as a used car dealership if they can operate as a used car dealership. Once they become obsolete as a first run dealership. And then the third phase is that they go entirely vacant and end up being redeveloped into other purposes. It's not automatic that you get a used car dealership into one of the first line dealerships.
So our subject property built in 2021 doesn't have any obsolete yet. It's brand new building, specific for this car dealership, correct?
It is a brand new automobile dealership, yes.
So your comparables on the page 15 doesn't support our subject property rent, correct?
No, I think we went through that, and what I said is that you're not going to find large independent arm's length rental rates for newly built automobile service properties in the 15,000-20,000 square foot plus range, because they don't exist in the marketplace. They're owned and operated either by the dealers or by independent operators that own and operate the properties. So what we needed to do was provide the most accurate information in the market on the automobile service and repair industry, which is what we've done. And what I stated was that they're going to vary in size and age and location, but what we've done is provide the best information available as close to the reference date as possible, with good locations and good profile, etc., to give you an accurate range of what these properties rent for on the market. Now, is that identical to the subject? No, it's not. You have to make the judgment as to what the subject property would rent for, given its location and size, profile, etc.
So your comparable, page number 15, very old and should be adjusted for age of building, correct?
No, we're not going to adjust the rental rates. What we're doing is accurately reflecting what those rental rates actually are in place. Now, would there be a change between each of these individual rates in the subject? Certainly, that's part of the judgment as to what would best be applied to the subject property.
Your comparable number 11, 3680 Pembina was building built in 1988 and rent for $12.50. It should be adjusted upward for space for age of the building, correct?
So to start with, I did mention in my presentation, I believe that is a typo, and I apologize for that. It is 3680 Portage Avenue. It's actually the same comparable that you have in your evidence. It is a used auto dealer, auto gallery, and unfortunately, I don't have the amount of the mezzanine space that is not included in the 7,200. So the initial $12.50, I believe, once you include the mezzanine space, falls under $10 per square foot on a net rental basis. Now, is it older and smaller than the subject property? Sure it is. So from that lowered basis, certainly there'd be an adjustment.
Your comparable number 20, 3222 Waverly, you showed age 1972. Our record showed it started to build 1965. It's a storage warehouse, correct?
This is 1322 Waverly?
Yes, your last comparables on page 15.
Yes, so the 1972 was taken from City of Winnipeg information, and it is occupied by the Not Automotive Group, and as we've all seen their ads, I'm sure they are a used auto dealer, but they're a premium used auto dealer, advertising extensively, and you can see both the profile of the property as well as the interior of the showroom area on page 16. So was it originally a storage warehouse? Yes, probably, but it has been changed somewhat for this use as a second-run dealership.
So we already established that storage warehouses has a less finished office space compared to retail or dealership, correct?
I would make an upward adjustment, yes, to that rental rate of $6.85. I'm merely showing what is accurate out in the marketplace. So not by any means suggesting that the subject should rent for $7 a square foot. I'm just showing we have a large used auto dealership with very high profile renting at that rate in Southwest Winnipeg as of the valuation date.
So these comparables should be significantly adjusted upward for age of the building, for less because it's less office space, less showroom. Also, it has to adjust because it's old, because it's less office space, so it will be significant adjustment, correct?
So you misunderstand what I've done in the valuation here. The automotive portion of my rental comparables is only being used in comparison to the automotive repair portions of the subject property, as well as the following property. The showroom retail and office has nothing to do with this automotive chart that we're looking at now. Would there be adjustments? Yes, absolutely. There'd also be adjustments the other way when you have properties that are of 2,000, 2,700, 4,500 square feet versus whatever the area of the service area for the subject property is. Obviously, smaller size like that, they are going to drive a higher rental rate. Now, are the properties older? Yeah, in many instances they are. And
maybe if you don't mind my interrupting here, I think the panel will quite adequately take away the fact that you are actually using 1250. So obviously, relative to these other properties, there would be adjustments upwards. In some cases, substantial, like in the case of that last one. There's at least one case where it would be downwards. But this is what is in the market right now, and you have settled on 1250. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Is there something substantially different than that you would want to be questioning, Ms. Schabel?
We already established is comparable number 11 on Pembina, $12.50 should be a significant upward for age of the building, age of the space, correct? Let's move to the page 17, showroom retail. Could you provide from 11 comparables, which comparable has a retail space similar to showroom and car dealership, subject property? Best comparables, in your opinion.
These are all generally showroom retail properties in that with high profile locations in that southwest area with recent start dates, good profile, as I'd mentioned. We have two properties immediately adjacent in a fully redeveloped property at 1290 Kenniston, renting at $12 and $12.50 per square foot. As of 2016 on long-term leases at 15,000 and 9,600 square feet, roughly. I mean, the information is all there for the panel to review.
Do you know original age of improvements on 1290 Kenniston?
No, I don't have the original age of the building here, but I can tell you that I was closely kept up to date on the redevelopment of that property. It was originally a straight up industrial property and was fully gutted and redeveloped into a multi-bay flex warehouse space and tenanted with these showroom retail types of tenants such as TransCanada Brewing and Lux Barbecue. So the original age of the building is, well, not immaterial. It's somewhat beside the point.
Okay, I can bring to your attention this property was built in 1989. So this net rent per square foot should be adjusted for age of improvements, correct?
No, that's incorrect.
What you know about your comparable 11 on 96 Nature Parkway? What type of property is this? How it's comparable to subject property car dealership? Why you think it's comparable?
It's not a car dealership. As I said, we're looking at showroom retail type space here. So if you flip forward in my brief to page number 23, and you look at the map at the top of the page, it indicates Commerce Drive and Rothwell Road, crossing Kenniston, with TransCanada Brewing there, West Coast Kids. Then we have the Birchwood Lexus, which is our following property, 200. And then 180 is immediately north of that. Now, if you cross the road, you have the Flex Warehouse space that has been developed over there. This particular unit is, I believe, Dulux Paints. They have showroom retail as well as office in their space. You can see the profile, visibility from Kenniston, location relative to the subject, adjacent retail of the bank and Tim Hortons, etc. It's a good comparable.
But by the end of the day, it's industrial storage warehouse, correct? It should be upward adjustment for retail.
No, that's incorrect. It's not a warehouse.
Okay, let's go to your addenda. Is your addenda, we can see Board of Revision decision. I cannot comment of past hearing of which I was not a part, but you was presented there. Could I ask question about Board of Revision decision?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch any of that.
I cannot comment on past hearing of which I was not a part, but you was in this hearing, and I would like to ask a few questions. It's okay?
It's up to the panel.
Sorry, am I understanding, Ms. Schabel, that you want to ask Mr. Smith questions about his presentation at the realty appeal? Is that correct?
It's a realty decision, how they can estimate $12.50. I have a question about it.
Well, somewhat reluctantly, I will allow a question, but I don't want to attempt to replay that hearing.
No replay. I just said parameter was used by came to decision. Capitalization rate was 7.5, shortfall 6%, expense at 7%, in vacancy allowance 5%, correct?
No, that's incorrect. As I explained, and believe me, I've gone through this multiple times to ensure I was accurate. And let's not twist it because it's very well supported by the other decisions there. The decision was based on a $12.50 per square foot rental rate, 2% for the expenses rather than my 7%. That's why they didn't indicate that it was based on my NOI. They made that one change. And then they applied a 7.5% cap rate to that resulting NOI to give the final number of whatever it is. So no, they did not include the full 7%, which includes the 5%, which all of the panel members will be well aware of. They did not allow it in this case, and we have appealed that decision to the municipal board because that 5% should be included.
For vacancy allowance, because I did my backward estimation, it will be similar decision for 2,200 LAFSA in 180 LAFSA by using 5% vacancy allowance. 7% expenses shortfall tax in capitalization rate 7.5. It will be $13.70. Correct?
Again, I'm having trouble parsing the question here. The decision on 200,000 is based fully on my net operating income with a 7.5% cap rate applied. So 1250 rental rate with the full 7% expense allowance, and they've applied a 7.5% cap rate to give you the final decision. In both
I think that's clear to the panel. So I think we should try to move on here.
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Billinghurst?
No questions.
Ms. Stevens?
No questions, thanks.
And I have no questions. So that concludes item number 1. We will then move to item number 2, which is 200 Lawson. Obviously, there's a great relationship to what has been already said about 180. I don't think that we require anything that is a discussion of the characteristics of automobile dealerships, the relationship to retail, big box, that sort of thing. If the comparables are the same, I don't think we need discussion of the comparables. What might be different in this case, Ms. Schabel, with respect to what you would say that is relative to 180?
Okay, we file 21-427, roll 55446 for Birchwood Lexus, owned by BLX Holding Ltd. Total annual rental value 2022, $661,320. The total area, gross floor area of this building, 41,000 square feet. Our overall gross rent per square foot, $16.30. As I already mentioned, business are assessed by calculating the annual rent value that is equal to net rent per square foot as determined by the market plus cost and comfortably occupied, multiplied by area of square footage of the premise leased or occupied. Cost of currently occupied space consists of utility costs including light, heat, water.
Okay, I think that's the sort of thing that we've already covered. Ms. Schabel?
In our
Ms.
case,
Schabel?
it's $2.45.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We've covered that sort of information already. What I'm trying to get at is, could you just talk about the particulars of this building that are different than the other ones?
We assessed this building net rent and $13.68. This building, if you come to my page number 2, built in 2020, has a land area 37,500 and mezzanine 3,500. This property together, so we have 2 dealerships on same spot, very well viewed from Kenaston Boulevard. I don't go through my same rent of comparables that support $13.68 per square foot and reasonable and fair. I recommended to confirm 2022 business assessment at $661,320. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, questions?
Yes, just 2 questions. I'm assuming you've had time to review my submission?
Referring to the panel or to Ms. Schabel?
To Ms. Scheibel.
Okay.
And you can present your submission.
Okay, and so you've received the floor plan indicating by the red outline indicating the area that is not air conditioned, that's correct?
Please open page number 3 of my brief. You can see the mechanical convention permit for this property indicate that entire building is air conditioned. We can see in description of work, affected area square meter, it's 3,803 square meter. If transferred to square feet, it's around 41,000 square feet. That equal to gross floor area of this property.
Have you inspected the property?
No, by my colleague.
Okay, so, and have you interviewed any member of the ownership group as to the build out of the HVAC for the facility, including where the air conditioning is and is not?
If you look on page number 2, photo, close photo of roof, all these boxes, it's heating and cooling system units on top of each part of roof. It shows that it's a full air conditioned space. By the way, it's a brand new building.
I'm trying to give you an opportunity to. Okay, that's fine. No more questions.
Ms. Billinghurst, questions?
No questions at this time.
Ms. Stevens?
No, I also do not have any questions.
And I do not have any questions. Consequently, Mr. Smith, what would you like to tell us that we haven't already gone over?
Well, facetiously, can I just say ditto, and we can wrap this up. All of my comparables are the same. The properties are built within 1 year of each other. They're comparable in terms of size. This is 41,000 square feet, 37,500 main floor with some mezzanine area, very similar to the other one. In terms of build out, they are extremely similar in terms of showroom space, office space, mezz space, the service area, etc. So I do not have any differences in terms of how this one is analyzed versus the other one. It would most appropriately be valued at the $12.50 a square foot that I've applied to it for all the reasons discussed. And if you look at the addenda of my material, and unfortunately I couldn't put it all as one, so it's the site plan, came as one separate document probably. It's from number 10 Architects. Has everybody got that?
Looking. It would be at the very end?
It would be at the very end, I believe, yes. I'd hold it up for you, but you probably can't see that far.
I'm afraid that's not going to help.
So just while we're waiting for everybody to locate it there. So I interviewed the facilities manager for Birchwood and asked them to identify on this property the area that is not air conditioned. Now, they've done so on this site plan by outlining it in red and giving you the square footage of each area. So there's a drive-through area on the north side of the building, which is indicated with the square footage on it there. And then
if you don't mind for a second, I still haven't found that. Where is it relative to your page 28?
In our document, Mr. Brodsky, it's right before the start of his brief, his part 2 brief. I just found it, yeah. It's not at the end, it's at the start.
Okay, so I'm afraid I don't get the miniature of pages down one margin in order to skip. So I've got to slowly scroll through things here. Relative to your page addenda, that says addenda, where would I find it?
Unfortunately, I included it as a separate document, so on your document, I'm not sure how it's been.
Oh, I see.
handled.
It's right after the mechanical permit that was provided by the assessor.
Oh. Got it. Okay.
Okay, so as I was stating, facilities manager for Birchwood Automotive Group, very familiar with this building, obviously, having just built it. I questioned them as to what area is and is not air conditioned. They identified the non-air conditioned areas by outlining it in red. And you can see the square footage for each of those areas. So one is the main service, auto service area at the rear of the building. The other is the north side there, which is the drive-through portion of the building for bringing your car in and heading off to work. You're dropping it off essentially. So in that area, obviously, you're in and out all the time. The doors are up and down. There's little point in providing air conditioning to that particular area. Needless to say, they don't provide air conditioning to that area. They also don't air condition the service area at the rear of the building either. This is very standard. And it's also the case for the other property, which is shown. And this is why I went to the extent of providing the rebuttal evidence on 180 Lowson, showing that the air conditioned area is not the entire area of the building. It's the 19,377 square feet identified by the city in their materials online. It's very clear. The buildings they're not identical, but they're very, very similar, and you're simply not going to air condition that area. Neither is Birchwood Automotive Group going to provide incorrect information to the city of Winnipeg for the purpose of lowering their air conditioning expense amount by a couple $1,000 or whatever it may be. What I was showing for 180, and again for here, is that it appears as though the city has adjusted their rental rate in order to reflect the entire building as being air conditioned for 180. In this one, it's identical because they never changed it in the first place. So in terms of my presentation, that's what I'm identifying. I've taken the air conditioned area or non-air conditioned area out of the total for that air conditioned expense amount. All of the other parameters are the same. $12.50 a square foot, well supported by the evidence included. And we have two decisions, both on this building and the adjacent building at the Board of Revision for 2021 at $12.50 a square foot. I'm open to any questions you may have.
Thank you. Ms. Szabo, do you have questions?
Yes, I have questions about this site plan. This site plan showed building or car movements. It's not a specific building plan that showed mechanical plumbing system, correct?
That is correct.
And if you look on bottom, top right hand, it's notes here that the general construction shall verify all dimension, datum, and level prior to commencement of work, correct?
Again, I'm not sure what you said there.
That this drawing must not be scaled. General construction shall verify all dimension, datum, and level prior to commencement of work. My question, you didn't provide good evidence about the building specific, you provide site plan, but not specific building.
So
Plan to support your statement.
my answer to you, Ms. Scheibel, is that I think I generally supply far too much information to the panel. So bringing in a full set of plans to give you a breakdown of the HVAC area for the subject property, as well as the previous property, I don't think would be in the interest of time for the panel or would necessarily be necessary. So what I've done is provide you.
I think we figured out what has been provided here. Thank you.
So, if you look on my evidence in page number 3, description of work, it shows that mechanical location of work with a building, including first and second floor installation of general heating and cooling system. An effective area of 2,803 square feet.
What is the question for Mr. Smith here?
That site plan doesn't support statement about space under air condition, correct?
That is your opinion.
No questions.
Thank you. Ms. Billinghurst, do you have questions?
No questions.
Ms. Stevens?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, and I do not have any questions either. So bear with me for a second here. We have dealt with both of the items on our docket today. Consequently, we will conclude the hearing at this point. We will provide you with the orders from the board as quickly as possible. So thank you very much for your information and attendance today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye. Panel will take 5